Hi, welcome to Chad's Silversmithing. It's been a while since I did a chain bracelet, so I thought tonight I would do a chain bracelet. And I picked one out from memory that I did a long time ago. I don't even remember where I figured out how to do this one, whether I was copying someone or whether it was something I came up with. I know I've seen similar ones online before. I don't know what to call it. I'm going to maybe call it a cotter pin bracelet because the individual links look like cotter pins. But before we do that, I wanted to thank some groups of people. First, my patrons over on Patreon are my core group of supporters, and I truly love having them as supporters. They not only provide me with some financial support, they've created a really nice artistic community over there that I really enjoy interacting with. So thank you for that. Thank you also to my YouTube subscribers. I have 24,600 last I checked, which is amazing and awesome. Thank you for that. I really love hearing your stories and your suggestions and the really nice heartfelt comments that I get. Those are super cool and I appreciate it. I do also appreciate the financial help as well. The Buy Me a Coffee is a super thanks. People buying my merch off my merch store, or people buying my ebooks. Those things really keep my channel sustainable, and I probably couldn't do this without your help like that. So thank you for that. I do appreciate it. All right, well, let's get started on this project. Starting a little late tonight, so I'm a little bit tired. So I'll do my best, but you know, sometimes I make mistakes when I'm tired, so we'll see what we can do here tonight. This is one of my design idea sketchbooks that you can get on my merch store. There's a number of different models. This one has a gauge to inches to millimeters chart, which I think people overseas oftentimes find useful since they generally don't use wire gauges like we do here. What I really like about them, though, is the dot matrix in the background on the pages, because it helps me to draw better pictures, because I don't draw things very symmetrically when I freehand them. But it also allows me to have a permanent record of what I've made in the past, say, 4 years now. And that's really handy sometimes when you want to go back and redo something similar, or if someone, you know, special orders something they've seen on your channel. It's nice to be able to know how I did it, because I can't always remember everything I did way back then. So here's that wire that I pulled. I hope I have enough for enough links to make this a bracelet. I was going to make it about, I don't know, 180 millimeters or so, 7 inches-ish. And it's going to be pretty simple, but the thing that's challenging about this one is these little loops that are going to go around the rest of the next link there. So this loop will connect to the next link right here. We're going to be soldering those closed. I suppose you could do it without soldering them closed and make the same kind of bracelet, but I like to solder them closed so that it's a, you know, really secure, permanent, strong bracelet. We need to do that without soldering it to this other link each time we do it. So I think first I'll show you how to make one of these links and how to shape it and everything, and then I'll probably make a bunch of them off camera so you don't have to watch me doing the same thing over and over again. But we'll also be making some little silver balls, and there's going to be one, I didn't draw these very proportionate here, big enough to keep these two wires separated. The reason being, I want this bracelet to be kind of snake-like, and I don't want these links to be able to rotate around this circle at all. So if we have a little ball there and these are small enough, it won't be able to slip to either side of that ball. And so it'll kind of have more of a linear aspect to it than something that can go back and forth. But it makes for a pretty nice bracelet, and I think it'll be a fun one to redo. So the clasp, I'm going to make something that looks just like a link, except instead of on this part here, I'm going to do it like this and maybe ball up the ends of these. So we can just pop it over the last link, and that'll be like a little hidden clasp. You won't even be able to see where it's at pretty much from the outside. This is 16 gauge round wire. It's 1.3 millimeters. Like I said, it started out as a little ingot that I cast a while back, and I rolled it through my rolling mill, gradually reducing it and annealing it and pickling it until it was small enough to start pulling through the draw plate. And then I worked it down to size 16. So that's what I got. And I annealed it and threw it in the pickle to clean it up a little bit, and we should be good to go. So when I was doing prep for this, in order to make the size of link that I wanted, I actually made one out of some 16. And this is how long it ended up being to make that link, which turned out to be about 48 millimeters. So 48 millimeters for standard units. 1 7/8 inches or so. So I'm going to cut a series of these and make links out of those. And so let's do a few at once, and then we'll refine our process, and then we'll continue on from there. And I'll just make a whole bunch. Put one there. I'm hoping that I have enough here in order to have enough links. We'll see. Okay, here's my template still. So I'm going to file these ends flat on here. Take a minute or two and get these kind of straight. At least relatively straight. I don't suppose they have to be perfect right now. I do have a playlist that's about different kinds of link chains, so if you want to see some more, I'll put a link up there for you to that playlist. There's a lot of different playlists on my main channel page if you look at the playlist tab. Try to keep things categorized, and so there's a rings playlist, and there's like an advanced project playlist and a beginner project playlist. Okay, let's see if we can find the center of these. I think if I want them to be about that size, I'm thinking let's do it around this one here on my bail making pliers and see how it comes out. I think that'll probably work out. So really I'm going to do that, and then I think I'm going to do this. So I was thinking so these loops on the ends here are going to be curled upwards this way and flipped over on themselves. However, it might be easier to turn them sideways like this, and then after we solder the ball on, then just rotate them a little bit. And I think that might be easier. So let's try that and see. I don't need a very big loop on the end here. I'm going to use my round nose pliers to get a slightly smaller loop. So these loops are big enough to go through there, right? Which is about what we want. And after we solder the little ball in the middle here, we can rotate those up. And then once we hook them onto another chain, we can solder them closed. So I think I'm going to make all of these really quick. And then we'll make some balls and solder those in. I ended up using this bottom one here. Just a little bit bigger. Try and get these as symmetrical as possible. We'll take our round nose. We'll do one more and then let's make some balls. I just get a pretty good workout when I make my own wire. Okay, so let's make some little balls on a charcoal block. Actually, that's about the size I want them, probably. Pretty small. So let me find some scrap wire. Let's easiest to get consistent size balls if you're using the same size of wire and just cutting pieces off of it. So just finding pieces of 18 gauge scrap that I can snip little bits off of. There's a piece. Is that a piece? Where'd you go? Alright, keep this over here. If I need more, I'll get some more. But I think to make balls about the size we want, let's go like 4 millimeters or thereabouts. It's a piece like that size. Alright, so if you haven't been to my channel before, I use hard silver sheet solder primarily, although I'm probably going to use a little paste solder on this one with towards the end to solder these links closed. And I use a liquid flux that I drip on with a dropper bottle. And my torch is a Smith silversmithing model. It's their acetylene air torch. It pulls in atmospheric air to mix with the gas in this tip here. It produces a flame that's in the 4,000 to 4,500 degree Fahrenheit range, so it's much hotter than a propane or a butane torch, but not as hot as oxyacetylene, so it's pretty good for what we're doing here. Okay, so let's melt these balls and see how they turn out. Try to move most of my flammable stuff away. It's been a while since I lit my notebook on fire. Yeah, I think that's about right. I make balls on a charcoal block because it seems to make better balls generally. Let's, for these, I think what I'll do is going to put a ball into one of these little cavities on here. I'll scoot this up against it. Okay, and then one of the things that I do a lot is I pick solder, and that's where I pick up a little bit on the end of this titanium pick, heat the piece up to soldering temperature, and just touch a little bit of solder there. And that's what I'm going to do here. I don't want a huge amount of solder, so I'm going to use pretty small pieces. If you're interested in learning how to pick solder, I'll put a link up there for you. It's one of those skills that raise my abilities by a big factor, so I would recommend learning how to do it if you can. It takes a little practice, but once you have it down, it speeds things up a lot. Which was one of my gripes when I first started, was I couldn't do things very fast. So I'll set a few of these over here, and move this a little further out of bounds. Let's flux these. A little crusty. We'll just pick up a little bit of solder there. Okay. There's a big difference in mass between the little piece of wire and this tiny, tiny ball. So you got to heat the wire a little bit more than the ball because it takes longer for that to reach the temperature you want it to solder at. And you want them to both reach that temperature, otherwise you'll get what's called a cold solder joint. where, say, the solder flows, and it looks like it's stuck to both of them, but it really only stuck to the one side, the piece that reached temperature before the other one did. It's always embarrassing when your balls fall off after you sell something. This one looks a little off center. This one too. Now I'm second guessing all of them with how it's centered there. Okay, let's cool those off. Let's bend those loops in the other direction, and we'll see if we can hook a couple of them together. I liked this idea because generally the idea is pretty simple, but it produces kind of an interesting bracelet. I like stuff that fits together nicely and lays on the wrist nicely. Okay, so let me find some flat nose pliers. I'm just going to twist these like this. Or let's see, let me see if I have this right. Well, I'm going to twist them the other way, because I want the roundest side of the ball facing outwards. The original one of these that I did them all right with the ball facing outwards, the rounded side of it, because a lot of times balls will have a flattish side. And I think I did it on a larger scale than this one, so the ball was pretty visible. But I accidentally did one upside down, and that bugged me forever. Okay, so now I'm going to open this sideways like that. Let me see if I can figure out how I did that. I think I need to go in opposite directions. So I hooked it on there, now we need to redirect this back this way. And see, the little ball prevents it from this thing from moving to either side, so it stays in a straight line much more effectively. So let's do one more. And then I'm going to go off camera and I'm going to make a whole bunch of these. And then we'll hook them all together. Theoretically. If everything goes okay. Also, along the way, I'll try and work on making them as consistently shaped as possible, because there's going to be some slight variations since I'm making these by hand. Slight variations. There's going to be some gigantic variations because I'm making them by hand. Okay, well that's the idea, so I'm going to make a bunch more of those. I don't know how many it's going to take to do, but we can kind of estimate maybe. I'd say it was about 4 of them equate to almost 5 centimeters. So 8, 12. So I'm guessing 16 links maybe. So I will be making some links for a little bit, and then I'll be back. Okay, I have a bunch of links here. So let's add them. chain. So I really want the solder that I'm going to put on here, which is going to be medium paste solder to start with, not to solder to anything else. So I'll put just a little bit there. And then I may actually conceal part of this from the heat, just so that I can focus the heat where I want it to be, without worrying too much about getting anything hot in a way it shouldn't. The big issue here is you don't want to remelt that hard solder that's holding a little ball on there, so you don't solder the ring right to that, because we want movement on these things. Try and position it so you can see what I'm doing here. I'm mostly trying to keep a lot of heat from getting to the rest of it. Put a little bit of solder in it. Those two spots. Okay, the next one. Key to being able to solder these is making sure that the end of the wire is touching the rest of the wire so that we have a contact there. We don't want a gap there, because that'll create a problem. Alright, we'll just keep doing that over and over again. I'll be right back. Okay, so I got this pretty much soldered together. I'm going to do one more that's a clasp, and I think we need to cut a piece that's just a little bit longer than the template, if I can find my template again. Actually, I guess I don't need a template. I know it's 48 millimeters long, so let's make it. I'm going to ball up the ends, so I think we need to add, and I have to estimate a little bit. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. Let's do 58. See if that works. Alright, so let's ball up the ends first. The easiest way to do that usually is just to grab it with your tweezers and heat it till the end balls up. Still need to put a little ball on this one, so let me make sure I still have one of those somewhere. I think that's one. There's one if it's not. I'm going to dip these downwards a little bit and then tip the ends upwards. I'll show you a little close up in a second here. It needs to be able to hook over that one like that. So I think once I get this attached, then I'm going to squeeze these down so that they're a little bit tighter. And that'll be a good clasp. So we need to hook it onto this end here. So let's open these ones up. I'm just going to do the medium paste solder again right here. I know you can't see this particular one, I'm just doing the same thing now. I've been trying to straighten these wires out from the side as I go because they get a little bent when we're doing the assembly. And it should be when you bring it around here like this, you should be able to just snap that over it like that. And then you can barely see the way it comes together. So that's one of the that's how I like to hide clasps. It makes it look more continuous, you know. You can play with the depth of that so it stays on better. It comes off harder or easier. So I'm going to get that into the pickle and then I'll get some better pictures for you. Tell me what you think. Tell me how you do things. I always like to hear people's ways of going about stuff because everybody does things a little different. Alright. It's pretty late. I'm a little sleepy now, but I got things polished up and I think that turned out pretty well. It's got this little kind of hidden clasp. Kind of see how that works. And the little ball prevents these from sliding sideways, so you don't get kind of weird tangles and stuff. That just slips like that. And that turned out, it seemed to me like some of the irregularities kind of worked themselves out as I was cleaning it up and polishing it. I made a few slight adjustments, but overall I think that's a success. So it moves nicely. I'm curious too. I'm going to have to come up with a name for this thing. I'm not sure if this particular type of chain has a name, so if anybody knows, let me know in the comments. I'm curious. Okay, well that was the Cotter pin bracelet. I hope you enjoyed that. If you did, make sure to hit the like button before you go. And I would love it if you take a moment and head over to my main channel page on YouTube. I have over 550 videos now. I do 3 per week, one on Tuesday, one on Thursday, and one on Saturday. So you have a regular feed of interesting stuff coming out. So if you haven't subscribed, watch a few of those videos over there. I'm almost positive you'll find something interesting or useful over there as well. And then subscribe to my channel. I'd love to have you as a follower. The other thing is, don't forget to hit the video description down below. There's not only information about this particular video, there's some important links there. If you want to check out my Patreon, which is a great artistic community, there's multiple tiers of membership there. First being $5 a month, and that gets you my videos without the YouTube advertisements. And then there's some other tiers above that that cost a little bit more that have some different perks. Like I just did a live stream last weekend for a group of people, and that was kind of fun. I also do Patreon exclusive videos for them on occasion for the different tiers. So it's a nice place with a lot of cool people. So if you want to, check it out. There's a link to my merch store if you want to get yourself a nice design idea sketchbook. We also actually, if you follow the link to my regular website, there's going to be some kind of cool new merch over there as well. It's separate from my regular merch store, and we put some different jigsaw puzzles up there for sale that are pictures of some of the jewelry I've made. There's some cool stuff over there. You might want to check it out if you like jigsaw puzzles. And finally, there's a link to my ebooks, which are yearly guides to my tutorials. The most recent one is for 2024. There's about 170 pages. Each page has a link to one of the tutorials I did during that year, and it includes a picture of the sketch, a picture of the final product, a list of materials you need to make the project, a difficulty rating, although that's a little bit subjective on my part, and then some notes I made about the project, about whether I liked it, whether I felt like it was a good outcome, would I change the way I did it, did I learn anything from it, did I think it was a failure? You know, sometimes things don't work out the way you hope. So, but it's a great way to have a whole bunch of projects right at your fingertips, and a really nice way to support my channel. So get yourself one or both of those. There's one for 2023 as well. There's a package deal. If you get both of them, you get $5 off of the overall cost. So thank you in advance if you do that, and thanks for watching today. Take care. Happy silversmithing.